Y'all hit that like button, man. I'm gonna say it again. Hit that like button. Let's get this in the algorithm. You have to stay on the narrow path. I know that the narrow path is not an easy path. No, it's meant to be difficult. No, it's meant for tests. Just to see if you are who you say you are. This is what the narrow path is about. Is who you say you is, right? So you got to continue to have faith within the God within you and continue to keep walking down this narrow path. It's going to be a lot of snakes. It's going to be some good and some positive. It's going to be people that's for you. It's going to be some people that's not for you. It's going to be some people that's trying to play you. It's going to be some people that's not trying to play you. So, opportunity going to come. Good opportunity and bad opportunity going to come. But, this is what comes with walking the narrow path. You're going to have some lonely times. You're going to have some times when you're not alone. You're going to be able to connect with somebody. But this is a journey. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to always have bad days. You're not going to always have good days. It's a balance. Spiritual warfare is going to always take place. Spiritual warfare, excuse me, I'm smart. I don't know what I said. Spiritual warfare is going to always take place, guys. All right? So, you guys got to understand that. And you're not going to be perfect. It's not for, the narrow path is us striving to be better people, us self-improving our mindset, our health, and, our finances, and our self-love and our insecurities. You're going to still have some sort of insecurity. We all deal with some sort of insecurity as chosen ones. We're not perfect people. But, God is still within us. You know what I'm saying? We still going to, sometimes do wrong things. Let's face it. It's just the truth. You're not going to always do right. But good going to outweigh your bad by a long shot. It's like you're going to do 80 or 90% of good and only 10 or 20% bad. You know what I'm saying? As you start to rise up, as your vibrations start to rise up. And your consciousness rise up. So, you guys got to understand the narrow path is not an easy path. Not everybody can walk the narrow path. Some people, they think they can, but in reality, it's just too much. It's too much accountability. Everybody just, it's only a few are chosen, but it's just going to be many that's called. Excuse me, guys. Only a few people that's going to be actually chosen because they accepting the accountability. They going through what they have to go through. You know what I'm saying? To become a better person. Some people, they don't think that they chosen, but they're going to just be called. They're going to back out a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of situations. They're not going to know how to handle them. They're going to fall short. And us chosen ones, like I said, we're going to fall short when it comes down to stuff too. But, there's levels to falling short to certain, things, right? But yeah, guys, chosen one, this narrow path, like I said, it ain't always going to be bad. It ain't always going to be good. You just got to make sure that you stay focused on what you need to be doing for the kingdom of light, not the kingdom of darkness. I was thinking about saying the kingdom of darkness, but you guys gotta be prepared for anything. You gotta be prepared for breakthroughs, and you gotta be prepared for tests by demonic forces. We're dealing with principalities and demonic forces. You're going to be dealing with that when you walk in the narrow path. People going to try to walk this path and they're not going to be able to walk it. They're just not. they're gonna start to fall back. They're like, man, it's getting too real. The narrow path get real. You know what I'm saying? It can get real, man. It's only a few people can actually walk the narrow path and continue to stay on that path. Like I said, it's a lot of people that they called, but when it comes down to narrow path, you gotta really be chosen. Cause when you chosen, bro, I'm telling you, you're gonna be equipped, by the God that's within you when it comes down to certain stuff. Like I said, I'm not saying that you're gonna always do the right thing or always do the wrong thing. But chosen ones, man, you gotta be prepared for anybody to turn on you. You gotta be prepared to drop anybody, to block out anybody in your life that's trying to distract you. You gotta be prepared for all that. It can get tough sometimes. Distraction is real. You gotta stay sharp. Yeah, you gotta stay sharp. You gotta stay put. You gotta stay focused. It's easy to get distracted. It's really, really easy to get distracted, man. It's easy to give your energy, give your frequency to someone else. But you gotta be careful about these low vibrational people because they're going to try to steal your frequency by being negative. How a lot of people, they pay attention to a lot of negative stuff more than they pay attention to positive. It's you know what I'm saying? That negative stuff is a form of entertainment. You can't be distracted by the form of entertainment by paying attention to negative stuff. Trust me, it can steal your frequency very, very quick in a snap of a finger. God bless you, brother. You're truly doing God who will help you and save thousands of souls to the kingdom. Yeah, man. Man, I appreciate you, 786, for coming into the live. You got to really be ready for anything. You got to be ready for loneliness. You got to be ready for anything that that's going to try to, destroy you from or try to pull you back from walking a narrow path. Like I said, some chosen ones, like when they begin, they start to look back. They start to look back like, man, I don't know if I want to continue to walk this narrow path, man. They start looking back. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo. Like, I done just went through some crazy stuff, man. I don't know what's up next. Since I keep walking in their path, some people start to look back, man. Some chosen ones start to look back. They all start to get big, man. Like, but them tests gonna come, man. Like I said, you gonna have sometimes some, little bumps up on the road. But you gotta be confident. You gotta be strong-minded. The strong-minded gonna survive. The strong-minded gonna keep walking down that narrow path. Sometimes it's gonna be like Halloween. Sometimes it's gonna be like Christmas. You know what I'm saying? What I mean by that, I'm not talking about literally like, like the holiday. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying like it's gonna be some stuff that might spook you. When you walking down this narrow path, you might see some stuff or hear some stuff that might make your eyes scratch. You know what I'm saying? And then you're gonna have, like what I mean by Christmas, getting breakthroughs. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna start leveling up. You're reaping the fruits of your labor. You're gonna start to get blessed. Every time that you go through them tough times and you pass the level. More things unlock, better breakthroughs. Better aura. Better vision. Better discernment. It's like you leveling up. How in the game, bro, I'm gonna use NBA. Like in the game where like you play my player and then you get points, you can level up your person. This how it is, man. In real life. Like you level up every time you go through a tough time walking down this narrow path. You level up if you pass the if you pass the test. If you beat the mission, you get points. You know what I'm saying? You go through stuff and you start to grow more. You know, bro, games are, subliminal. You have subliminal messages in games. You know, same thing with Grand Theft Auto, It's, you go through different stages. You go through, you know what I'm saying? If y'all know what I'm saying about Grand Theft Auto. You go through different missions. And as you beat those missions and pass the test, you get points. You can buy stuff unlocked, you a better lifestyle. But you got to go through something that's bad, in order to get to something that's good. That's how it is down to the narrow path. No, it's a balance down the narrow path, man. It's the same way in real life. Like, real life is like a video game when it comes down to walking down this narrow path. Yeah, you're going to go through them different missions. It's the same thing in life. As you start to do new things, as you start to see and go through new things, when you're walking down the narrow path, like I said, you level up. Yep. Adversity. Yeah, you're going to go through a lot of adversity. Excuse me. But it's only there to make you better. And a lot of people, like I said, they don't want to go through that much adversity. They don't want to try new things because they know they're going to have to learn something. It's going to maybe affect their belief system or change their perception. Or they might think that it might affect their finances or their way of living. No, what they have. They might think they might lose something. But when you walking down a narrow path, you're going to lose to have greater gain. That's just how it is. You got to lose something to get a greater gain. That's how it is in the video games, guys. When you're going through my player and going through missions on certain video games, you got to go through something. You got to lose something to get to somewhere, better. You got to lose something. Something got to go. Sacrifices must be made. It's just the truth. Excuse me, guys. Whether if it's a friend, you got to get rid of a friend. You got to get rid of a family member. And what I mean by that is they can no longer be in your life because they distracting you. They're not ready for, they're not ready for what you're going through. They're not ready for that. And they can't withstand what you're going through. And they don't have the mindset to keep up. They don't have the mindset to keep up. Because you've been through so much. It's like they want to come in your life when they see when they see you complete the mission and then you start to reap the fruits of your labor. Now they want to come in your life. But they don't want to come in your life when you're going through adversity, when you're going through tough times, when you're going through another test. They want to come to your life after you complete the mission, after you complete the test, and then you unlock, more fruits. You start to God start to pour more blessings in your life. That's when they want to come in. But they don't want to go through the tough times, man. You got to cut them off. This is how it is down the narrow path. A lot of people might not view it as like a video game, but it's real. It's true. It is like a video game. Wayne, what's up, man? I'm just trying to let you guys know about this narrow path, how it really is in life. Saying, you got to go through something bad to get to something good. You don't always go through good things in life. Let's keep it real, guys. No, you not. You're going to be getting spiritual attacks. You're going to be having dreams about different stuff. No, whether if it's positive or demonic, you're going to have dreams about different stuff, and it's going to either wake you up at night or it's going to keep you asleep at peace. You go through a lot of different stuff when you're walking down this narrow path. You're going to be going through plagues. You might go through some sort of sickness. This is what you're going to go through. It's all tests. Just to see if you're going to stop, if you're going to quit, if you're going to give up. Because those demonic spirits, man, that demonic energy is always going to be there. You know, so don't be listening to these people telling you that, you know, how to overcome spiritual. You can't overcome no spiritual warfare. You trying to constantly level up. It's going to be something there that's negative. You must, you know, that's just how it is in life, your whole life. There's going to be something there that's going to try to stop you, that's going to try to block you from completing a mission so you can unlock more blessings. This is a fact. I'm telling you guys. A lot of y'all might not view it like that, but it's the truth. That's just how things is. And then what it's doing is it's strengthening up your mindset. It's strengthening up your accountability. It's strengthening up your self-worth. A lot of people don't like that. They don't like to be tested. But us chosen ones, bring on the test. Bring on the test. Because we ready to complete the mission to unlock more breakthroughs. No more winning seasons. We ready for that. Bring on all the demonic spirits you can bring. Because we ready for that. We built for that. Most people not built for that. You know, they gonna try to walk the narrow path without the mental strength, without the self-esteem. In fear. But us chosen ones, we don't walk in that narrow path in fear. We bold. Fearless. A lot of people ain't like that, man. A lot of people they not ready for change, man. They're not ready for trauma. We go through that as chosen ones. We go through trauma to get to healing. We go through trauma to heal. And after we heal, we become more stronger. No, we don't mind going through, we don't mind going through the pain just to gain. We don't mind doing that as chosen ones. We already know walking down this narrow path, we're going to have to go through a lot of pain. But we're going to go through greater gain. I'll script my seed lustful heart up a minute. Demons will come and dream, and I'll wake up in the middle of the night and would go. Yep, that's true. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're going to go through a lot of stuff, man. Especially as, like I said, when you're chosen. You're going to go through wet dreams. Because you're being celibate, you're not releasing, you're not, excuse me, you're not having orgasms. So as you have, so when you're not having those orgasms, and you letting your orgasm, you let your sperm, or, you know what I'm saying, you let your orgasm build up in you. If you keep it up in you, let it build up in you, you're going to feel them horny nights. No, you're going to go through all this walking down the narrow path. Them demonic spirits, that succubus spirit, whether if it's a man or a woman. Succubus spirit is just not a woman. It could be a man too. It can do a woman like that. She wake up, have a orgasm all over the bed. A man wake up, orgasm all over his boxers. You're going to go through all of this when you're walking down the narrow path. You're going to really be fighting against these spirits in your dream, and in the in this in this natural realm. You're gonna be fighting against these spirits. And these spirits, they sent to kill, steal and destroy. You gotta be careful, man. No, spiritual warfare is real. Spiritual warfare gonna always be there as chosen ones. Don't let nobody trick you out of telling you that spiritual warfare how you can defeat it. You can't defeat that. Yeah, you defeat it. You defeat it when you stop self-improvement. Well, you still not gonna defeat it, even if you stop self-improving your life. You're gonna go through spiritual warfare probably even more when you stop self-improving your life. You know why? That idle mind. That idle mind. Uh-huh. That idle mind. It's gonna be there. But at least when you self-improving your life, you have breakthroughs. You know, you unlock more, the more fruits of your labor. What I look like, not wanting to self-improve my life. That's what low vibrational people do. They only go so far. They don't want to really self-improve. That's what low vibrational people do. Lazy, slowful people do. But that idle mind ain't no joke. It'll have you miserable. Excuse me. Yep, they will. Yeah, they will despise you. 786. Yeah, they will. That's why I tell you, man. I want you guys, man. You gotta be careful. Like everybody, like I said, everybody's not ready for no narrow path, bro. They talk it, but they're not actually like living it, putting it into action. There's people that talking, there's people that actually put it in action. It's just between somebody talking about